Hi, I'm Sam Flying Kite, and welcome back to the horror show. This week is going to be kind of a first, because I've never done this before, and I don't know if it's going to work out view-wise or whatever, but we'll see. I hope it does. It'll be a long one. I'm reviewing Black Phone and Black Phone 2. Black Phone came out in 2021. It's rated R. It's about an hour and 43 minutes long. It's a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb with about 265,000 people voting on it. Its budget is 16 to 18 million, and the box office was about 161 million, so that succeeded. It's produced by Blumhouse, and it was distributed by Universal. It's directed by Scott Derrickson, who's known for a lot of other movies like Sinister. Let's say right here. He also did the first Doctor Strange, and he was supposed to do the second one, but there was like a lot of drama, kind of, so we ended up not doing that. Mason Thames plays Finney, Madeline McGraw plays Gwen, Ethan Hawke plays the Grabber, Jeremy Davies plays Terrence, who's Finney and Gwen's dad, and you have other actors like E. Roger Mitchell, Troy Russell, James Ransom. Although, I think that is a rest in peace because he did die recently, kind of. So it's nice seeing him. There's like a few, there's like a handful of actors who are like kind of like cameos in general, and it's like you love to see it when they are. And like James Ransom's kind of one of them, except he's like the main character in Sinister 2, and he's also a main character in It Chapter 2. So I mean, to a degree. But still, it was nice seeing him in this, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, right? I guess first, right? Finney Shaw, a shy but clever 13-year-old boy, is abducted by a sadistic killer and trapped in a soundproof basement where screaming is of little use. When a disconnected phone on the wall begins to ring, Finney discovers that he can hear the voices of the killer's previous victims, and they are dead set on making sure that what happened to them does not happen to Finney. But it's like, well, it's not like just because of that. It's more so like them wanting revenge, obviously, them wanting to be free because they're a bit trapped. Or at least when you're watching the second one, that's kind of the idea that is kind of presented. Just that like the souls of them are trapped there, and the only way they could be free is if he's either dead, if the Grabber gets killed, or if something such happens. Which I guess, spoiler alert, throughout the movie, Finney is doing these kind of like different tasks that kind of don't really mean anything in the moment. Like, you think it means X, but ultimately, all the things that he's done in there that, the spirits are telling him to do ultimately lead to his ultimate escape, which is kind of, I love how, like, a movie does something like that, where it tells you, or it's like, hey, you're, we're gonna like pretend we're going in this direction, but actually all of it's pointing to the other direction. It's just, when you watch the movie for the first time, you think you're going in X direction, but you're actually going in Y direction, kind of thing. So I thought that was really cool. I think the best thing about this movie is the 70s aesthetics. The characters are really great, and then the story overall is really great. It definitely makes you feel like you're in the 70s, although to be fair, this would more be like the late 70s, like 77, 78 kind of thing, which still, that's fine. It's like when Phantasm came out. And yeah, I think Scott did that very good. I could kind of see, like, if someone were to be super, like, negative about the movie, I suppose it's not necessarily that, like, the aesthetic, but it's more so, like, some of the dialogue that's, spoken, kind of, I guess. But overall, I think this movie did a really good job at that stuff. The characters are really great and in-depth, and it's really interesting because, like, for example, Gwen, she has these dreams, and these dreams are kind of a bit psychic. Not like, she's she has a gift, I would describe it. And her gift is seeing things that point to real life things. So for example, when she has the dream, she just dreams of like the grabber taking someone, and then it shows her the house that, like, you know, the grabber lives in, kind of thing. And it's like, then she goes out and tries to find the house. And her dad is, he's, you know, a bit of an alcoholic. And he, you know, the first time you see him and his daughter about dreams, he's, to a degree, beating her. Because his wife, her mom, also, you know, had dreams, but, you know, she ended up allegedly killing herself. I only say that because of what happens in the second movie, but in the first movie, it's, you know, oh, she killed herself. So, like, he doesn't want that for Gwen, which is, like, I can see that a little bit. I mean, it makes sense, but, like, in the same time, like, it's just tough, because, like, I get where he's coming from. Just because he's coming from a relatively good place doesn't mean that it's a good thing that he's doing. Like, people would be like, oh, Dracula was justified in doing what he did in Castlevania, but, like, it's like, really, was he? I don't know. But, like, I mean, to be fair, like, when you're just watching this movie, I think it's, like, if it was to be rated character-wise, when it comes to the depthness of the characters, it's probably, like, a 7 or an 8 out of 10, but I would say because of the sequel, that just becomes, like, a 9 out of 10, I think. Because you just start realizing other things, and it's just wow, I think. I think the only problem with this movie was, I kind of talked about it a little bit already, that being some dialogue choices. But, I mean, to be fair and honest, if I were to rate this movie, it would definitely be very high, like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Like, I don't think it's a 7 out of 10. I think it's definitely better than that. And, yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen this movie, I definitely think that you should, because it's very good. I saw this in the theater, and it was really nice seeing it in the theater when it came out. And I'm just like, that was just a really good movie overall. And if you haven't seen it, then you should go out and go and see it. But, yeah, that was Black Phone. And just give me one moment, and I will be reviewing the second one. And now to continue the review, I'm, as I said earlier, also reviewing Black Phone 2, which that came out last year, 2025. It's rated R, and it's about an hour and 54 minutes long, so it's like 10 more minutes longer. It's a 6 out of 10 on IMDb with about 64,000 people voting, so a lot less people voted on it, but the people who did said it was worse than Black Phone. The budget was $30 million, and the box office was $132 million, so I guess when you compare the budget and box office of both movies, then it's like, it makes sense. You know, the first one's like 7 out of 10, and the sequel is a 6 out of 10. But I think the sequel is really good. It's still directed by Scott Derrickson. Mason Thames, Madeline McGraw, Ethan Hawke, Jeremy Davies come back to play their respected characters they did in the first movie. And then you have other actors in here like Demian Bichir, Miguel Mora, Ariana Rivas, Maeve Beatty, my bad. One thing, though, that was interesting that I didn't realize until the last time I watched it recently was that Miguel Mora is actually in Black Phone. But, and I thought this was interesting, in Black Phone, Finney has a friend named Robin, and Robin is someone that gets taken by the grabber and gets killed. In Black Phone 2, Miguel Mora, who plays Robin in Black Phone, plays Robin's younger brother in Black Phone 2. I forget what his name was. And I just thought that was really cool, because I didn't realize that when I watched it the first time. And if I did, it's like I thought that, but then I forgot about it. But I don't remember if I remembered. True evil transcends death, and the Black Phone rings again as the grabber torments Finn. the teen who killed him, from beyond the grave by menacing his sister, Gwen. Haunted by horrific visions, the teens set out to stop their psychological torture, only to uncover a disturbing secret as they confront a killer who has grown more powerful than in death. So, in Black Phone, Finney's the main character, right? But in Black Phone 2, it's more of kind of... Gwen is kind of more of the main character. Yeah. I mean, Finney is still important in the story, of course, but Gwen more has the lead, because there's kind of an interesting thing that they do in this, where they kind of explain the mom a little bit, and the ultimate truth that, comes out about what happened to the mom. So it's like, the mom, when she was younger, heard a black phone ring, and she would pick it up, and what you realize is that Gwen, when she's on the phone, in present day in her dream, is talking to her mom in real life back in, 20 years, 15, 20 years ago kind of thing. Or something like that. So it's a weird little, time thing that they're doing. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's like they're actively talking to each other, but, they're in different times, different places, but they're you're still in the same state, just that. But hey, the time jump is the big thing, and what you end up finding out is the dreams that the mom was having were kind of psychic dreams, but ultimately the dreams that she had were about the grabber and what he was gonna do. She saw that there was those kids at the camp that she used to counsel at that went missing. She saw them, and then she saw one of the boys that the grabber would ultimately grab in 79, which I guess I'm a little bit confused on when the mom ended up dying, which I guess was 7 years or 6 years before Black Phone 2, meaning it was 3 years before Black Phone, something like that. So yeah, I guess it's just, she saw one of the boys that the grabber would ultimately take and realized it was him, who it was. She realized who it was, so she went to the house to investigate a little bit, and she saw the boy in there, but I want to say, because when we see that scene in the movie, very specifically, it is from Gwen's point of view in her dream, so you don't know if the mom is also dreaming, or if she woke up. I mean, you would assume she woke up, because it seems like she wakes up out of a dream, and Terrence is still sleeping. But I guess that's a bit of a confusion, because I guess I would I thought that the events of Black Phone, the kids going missing, was relatively a couple of months before, but I guess it's if it were to be 3 years prior when it all started, then it's okay, I guess I could kind of see it, but in the same, it's a bit of a, I don't know if it's a retcon or if it's just something that was never directly answered in the first one, that they could be oh yeah, it was 3 years of his terror kind of thing, I guess. But I don't know. It's that, I guess if there was a problem with this movie, it'd be that, because it's a bit confusing and I'm not really sure, what's what, I guess. But anyway, when she goes and investigates, and she sees the boy, and then she's about to go back, but then the grabber gets her and takes her back in the car, or in his van. And then you end up finding out that he actually hangs her, or he kills her and sets it up as though she killed herself. And so when Terrence finds her body, he just assumes that she killed herself, because, how do you assume something else would have happened? He doesn't know about, whatever else. He knows about the dreams that she had, but he doesn't know about what's happening, 20 years from now when it comes to Gwen and whatnot. Not yet, anyway. Well, to a degree in Black Phone, but not what's happening in Black Phone 2 until later in the movie. So it's, you know, he sees it and he's like, oh my gosh, my fault, and he's like, that's why he ends up being an alcoholic, and it's like, that's really interesting. It's really sad, but it's really interesting. And, you know, by the way, Black Phone too, so it's been like 3 years, right, since Black Phone, and he's, you know, 3 years strong, you know, or maybe not 3 years, but he's been like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3 years. 3 years strong of no alcohol, and it's like, that's huge. That's a huge, like, congrats, man. So it's like, just like his character overall, that's like, I think that's like, wow, that's really interesting. That, like, it still doesn't like just justify beating his kid, but it's like, it makes you like understand a lot better and to kind of sympathize with him. Or I would sympathize with him. I know other people would either kind of sympathize or they wouldn't, right? But so yeah, and then like the ending was great in Black Phone 2. I mean, it's like kind of cliche kind of ending, and then there was a kind of silly, but I mean, I guess like it's kind of like Freddy Krueger in the sense of, you know, if you hold on to Freddy and you wake up, you bring him back kind of thing. And I guess the new Insidious movie is also going to be kind of playing into that a little bit. But in this, it's not more so like that. It's more so like he's kind of there. He's kind of like an invisible man to the physical world, but like in the spiritual or dream world, right? You know, he's visible and he's attacking her kind of thing. But ultimately, I mean, it made sense. Like, for how the ending goes about, it's like, sure, it makes sense. And it's not like he just, well, I was about to get ahead of myself. But, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was good. And it's like, so like, yeah, kick his ass kind of thing. And there's a lot of shots in this movie I love. Like, one in the end when, when, all right, so the idea of this movie is that there's the 3 boys that went missing, like, in the 50s for this camp. And Gwen, in the beginning, has these dreams about those kids. In the beginning of the movie, she has dreams about the 3 kids. And, you know, the whole point, they go to this summer camp, or whatever, is to figure out what happened. And, the ultimate, like, how to stop the grabber is to find the bodies and to, you know, it's like find them and bring them up and, you know, bury them kind of thing. But it's, I guess, more so just to find them and wherever they are, get them out. So, for example, the bodies are end up found in this lake and it's frozen. So they got to get the bodies out of the lake. And at the end of the movie, the climax, that's what they're doing. And they, when they get all of the bodies out, because they're all in these tanks, when they get the tanks up, there's like a little moment where like Gwen's like, oh death, where's thy sting kind of thing, and it's like it shows her and then it pans out and then you just see the grabber, oh my gosh, in front of the camera. Oh, I just thought that looked so cool. But anyway, as a Christian, I really like the Christian elements in this movie, and it just, like, it made me kind of realize and think that, like, hey, like, you don't really see a lot of, like, Christian elements in horror movies, and if you do, it's typically negative. But it's nice seeing a movie like this, where it's a more positive, where, like, you have the stereotypes of some Christians, like the Christians who are like, oh, I'm so much better than you kind of thing, because, you know, whatever, like, oh, you're saying naughty words, oh, you kind of thing. But like overall, I thought like this presented a really interesting, you know, good message about Christianity. And I'd also say, like, I'm not really sure about certain theological things, like the idea of purgatory or whatever. I'm more so kind of like, when you die, you go before God and then you're judged, and you either go to heaven or hell, and all depends on if you believe in Jesus kind of thing. Or if you follow the 2 commandments, you know, love God and love your neighbors as yourself kind of thing. But, I don't know about purgatory, but I mean, a movie like this kind of presents like, okay, I could kind of see purgatory just, like, I could kind of see the kids in this movie and the kids in the first movie are stuck in purgatory, kind of thing. And I mean, I could kind of see that. That's an interesting idea. But that would be my interpretation of just something that I'm not really sure of myself. When it comes to, like, I don't know if purgatory would be a real thing or not. It's like I would understand it as a concept, but I don't know if that's a completely biblical thing, right? But I mean, I thought that was interesting, and then just like the Christian elements in the movie, and in the very end when, you know, they defeat the grabber and it's the next day and Finney and Gwen are leaving and they hear the black phone ring, or I guess Gwen hears the phone ring but Finney doesn't, so it's like, oh well, it must be for you, Gwen. And she goes and picks it up and it's her mom talking to her from, you know, heaven. And she's like, I'm in a good place, you know where I'm at, kind of, you know where I am, kind of thing. It's really nice and pretty here, and, you know, tell Finn, you know, that Robin says hi, kind of thing. It was like, that was really sweet, because the ultimate, if anyone's still here in this video, thank you so much. The ultimate thing, though, about life in movies is just the unknown of what is after. What, you know, do we just stop existing and do we just, once we dead, we're just dead, right? Once we're dead, are we just dead, or do we maybe go somewhere? And is that somewhere a good place? Is it a bad place? Or is it, you know, a place we don't know about? And I would say that, like, we do know, and it's, you know, heaven or hell, all depending on how, you know, if you believed in Jesus, kind of thing. Which I would highly recommend if anyone's watching this and you have doubts yourself, or if you're not Christian, to go back and read and pray and find a good church, because there's a lot of bad churches out there. Like, I would say go to a like a Global Methodist church, or just, you know, go to an Orthodox church, maybe Catholic. I don't really know about that too much. But it's just the idea of being super careful about what church you go to, because some churches are not good churches. But it's just, I want to go to heaven, right? But I also want other people to go. But it's ultimately just like you gotta want them to want to, and if they don't want to, then that's their choice, unfortunately. But to go back to my point, it's the idea that we don't know, right? And so for me, it's more of like just faith that, like, there is a place, because it's like, oh, that's up in the house. I was gonna get my Bible, but that's up in the house. Like, it's a book, and if everything that's in it that is true, it was written a long time ago by a lot of different authors inspired by God. And you know, if I believe in Jesus, that there is a place, and that ultimately is just like, I either choose to believe it or I don't, and I do choose to believe it. But it's just, you know, there's not a whole lot of, you know, signs to, like, point to there is something after. I mean, we live in a very physical, materialistic world, and so there's that hope. In a movie like this, you know, with that ending, it's a nice little reminder for me that, like, there is a place, and just some people need that reminder, or at the very least, they need to be like in Gwen's shoes, kind of thing, to understand that, or to realize that, because it's either faith or you need some kind of evidence, like doubting Thomas, right? Jesus rises and reveals himself to the disciples, but Thomas isn't around, and so when Thomas comes back, and Jesus is off doing something, and the disciples are telling Thomas, hey, Jesus is here, and he's like, I don't believe you. I'd have to see him for myself with my own 2 eyes and feel, you know, his scars. And then Jesus comes back and reveals himself, and Thomas is like, I believe, because he sees him. He needed to see him. And it's like, some people need to see it, and other people need to just, you know, well, some people need to see it, and other people don't need to see it, right? It's a really interesting theological place, and maybe I should do more theological kind of like talks, right? But maybe this might be something I do. But anyway, I'm Sam, flying kite. This was probably the first. I'm not sure if I'll do it again, but if I do, it's gotta be very specific. Double feature horror movie reviews, right? For the horror show. And I reviewed Black Phone and Black Phone 2. Yeah. I will see y'all next week. I think next week I'm gonna try to review something very specific that is needed to be reviewed for some time. But you know, it'll make sense then. I'll see y'all then, hopefully. Goodbye.